Zodiac Killer terrorized Northern California during the late 1960s and early 1970s.
Time. No clues in the latest letter. But more importantly, who is the Zodiac and where is he?
Claiming at least 5 confirmed victims and boasting of many more in cryptic letters sent to local newspapers. The killer's identity remains unknown, making the case one of the most perplexing unsolved mysteries in criminal history. The first murders. Lake Herman Road murders. Date, December 20th, 1968. Victims, high school students. Betty Lou Jensen, 16, and David Faraday, 17. Location, a remote spot on Lake Herman Road, just outside Vallejo, California. Betty Lou and David were on their first date, planning to attend a Christmas concert at their high school before heading to a secluded spot known for being a popular lover's lane. At around 11:15 p.m., they parked David's car in the remote area. According to investigators, an unknown assailant approached the car, forcing the couple out. David was shot once in the head at close range, while Betty Lou tried to flee. She was shot 5 times in the back and found lying dead about 28 feet away from the car. The brutal, senseless nature of the crime left the community in shock. Law enforcement had little to go on, and the case soon went cold. Little did they know, this was just the beginning. Blue Rock Springs attack. Date, July 4th, 1969. Victims, Darlene Farron, 22, and Michael Mago, 19.
Location, Blue Rock Springs Park, Vallejo, California.
Darlene, a married woman, and Michael, a friend, drove to Blue Rock Springs Park to talk and relax. Around midnight, a car pulled up beside them. The driver got out and approached Darlene's car with a flashlight, blinding the couple. Without warning, the stranger opened fire with a 9mm Luger, hitting both Darlene and Michael multiple times. The killer then walked away, but hearing Michael's moans, returned to shoot each of them twice more before driving off. A few minutes after the attack, a man called the Vallejo Police Department, reporting the double shooting and claiming responsibility. He also took credit for the Lake Herman Road murders. Despite his calm demeanor, the caller provided chilling details that only the killer could know. Surviving victim's account. Michael Mago survived the attack, providing the police with a description of the shooter. A young, white male, approximately 26 to 30 years old, with short, light brown curly hair, a stocky build, and around 5'8" tall. The Zodiac emerges. Following the Blue Rock Springs attack, the killer began to taunt the media and law enforcement with a series of cryptic letters, ciphers, and phone calls. His self-given moniker, Zodiac, became infamous, as did his symbol, a crosshair-like circle. Chapter 2. The Zodiac's Cryptic Communications. The Zodiac Killer's notoriety was amplified by his disturbing and enigmatic correspondence. His letters, ciphers, and phone calls were not just a means of communication, but a twisted game that heightened the sense of fear and intrigue surrounding his crimes. The infamous letters. The first letter. Date, July 31st, 1969. Recipients, the San Francisco Chronicle, the Vallejo Times-Herald, and the San Francisco Examiner. The Zodiac Killer sent his first letter to the San Francisco Chronicle, in which he took credit for the Lake Herman Road and Blue Rock Springs attacks. The letter included a chilling statement. "I am not afraid of the gas chamber, because it will send me to paradise all the sooner." Along with his claim of responsibility, the letter contained a cipher, which he challenged the public to solve. The cipher letters. Date, July 31st, 1969. Content: the 408 symbol cipher, later known as the Zodiac 408 cipher. In the same letter, the Zodiac included a cipher made up of 408 characters. This was one of his earliest attempts to engage the public with a puzzle. After several weeks of intense effort by amateur and professional cryptographers alike, the cipher was cracked. It revealed a disturbing message in which the Zodiac expressed his delight in the killings and his desire to collect slaves for my afterlife. The debut letter. Date, August 4, 1969. Content: the Zodiac's second letter to the San Francisco Chronicle. In this letter, the Zodiac took credit for the murders and the previous cipher and included another cipher, known as the Zodiac 340 cipher. This cipher remained unsolved for over 50 years, and despite numerous attempts by experts, its content was not revealed until 2020. The phone calls. The first call. Date, July 4th, 1969. Content. After the Blue Rock Springs attack, the Zodiac Killer phoned the Vallejo Police Department just minutes after the Blue Rock Springs attack, confessing to the crime and detailing the murder. His calm demeanor and eerie self-assuredness left a lasting impression on the investigators. The subsequent calls. Dates? Multiple, spanning from 1969 to 1970. The Zodiac continued to call police stations and media outlets, often making cryptic and taunting statements. These calls added an additional layer of psychological terror as they demonstrated the killer's audacity and need for attention. The impact on the investigation. The Zodiac's correspondence had a profound impact on the investigation and the media. His letters generated widespread public interest and fear, leading to an unprecedented media frenzy. Law enforcement was both challenged and frustrated by the Zodiac's taunts, as he seemed to revel in evading capture. Public reaction. The ciphers and letters drew considerable media attention, leading to public fascination with the case. This coverage inadvertently fueled the Zodiac's desire for notoriety and manipulation, making him one of the most infamous serial killers in American history. Law enforcement's dilemma. While the Zodiac's letters provided some insight into his psyche, they also posed significant challenges. The ciphers, particularly the 340 symbol cipher, presented a cryptographic enigma that remained unsolved for decades, frustrating law enforcement and cryptographers alike. Chapter 3. The Zodiac's Escalating Crimes. The Zodiac Killer's spree of terror did not end with his initial murders. Instead, his crimes grew increasingly brazen and complex, marking him as one of the most notorious and elusive serial killers in history. Let's delve into his subsequent attacks and the efforts by law enforcement to capture him. The Lake Berryessa attack. Date, September 27, 1969. Victims, Brian Hartnell, 20, and Cecilia Shepard, 22. Location, Lake Berryessa, Napa County, California. On this day, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were relaxing by the lake when a man approached them wearing a strange, homemade costume resembling a medieval executioner with a hood and a crosshair symbol. The man identified himself as the Zodiac Killer and asked for help with a fake car problem. After approaching the victims, he brandished a gun and ordered them to lie face down on the ground. In a chilling act of theatricality, the Zodiac Killer produced a knife and, while still in costume, proceeded to stab Brian and Cecilia multiple times. He then used his own blood to draw a symbol on Brian's car door, a symbol similar to the one he had used in his previous communications. Before leaving, he also wrote the words Vallejo and Septi 2769 next to the symbol. Brian Hartnell survived the attack and provided a detailed description of the Zodiac Killer to the police. This description became one of the most valuable pieces of evidence in the investigation, though it did little to shorten the search for the elusive killer. The murder of Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau. Date, July 4th, 1969. Location, Blue Rock Springs Park, Vallejo, California. We previously covered this attack in Chapter 1, but it is significant to revisit it here due to its escalation in the Zodiac's tactics. After the Blue Rock Springs attack, the Zodiac Killer's communication and methodology became more sophisticated, as seen in subsequent crimes. October 27, 1970. Recipient, the San Francisco Chronicle. The Zodiac Killer sent a card to the San Francisco Chronicle featuring a disturbing design with a message proclaiming, "I am back with you." The card included a cryptogram and a message claiming responsibility for new murders. This was part of his pattern of taunting and challenging law enforcement while seeking to maintain the public's fear and intrigue. The slaying of the young couple. Date: March 22, 1970. Victims: Darlene Farron and Michael Mago. Location: Blue Rock Springs Park, Vallejo, California. The Zodiac Killer's attacks were not limited to random victims. His chosen targets became increasingly symbolic, and his methods grew more calculated. The killing spree reflected a disturbing escalation in both violence and psychological manipulation. The threats and final known murders. Date: July 4, 1970. Victims: Kathleen Johns and her infant daughter. Location: near Interstate 5, California. In a particularly chilling episode, Kathleen Johns, traveling with her infant daughter, was abducted by a man who identified himself as the Zodiac Killer. He claimed he wanted to fix her car, but then tried to abduct her. Kathleen managed to escape and flee with her child, providing valuable information to authorities. The investigation intensifies. As the Zodiac Killer's crimes continued to escalate, law enforcement agencies from multiple jurisdictions began working together to track him down. Despite numerous leads and intense public interest, the killer remained elusive. The Zodiac's increasing audacity and his pattern of escalating violence challenged investigators and kept the public in a state of constant fear. Chapter 4: The Disappearance and Final Communications. As the Zodiac Killer's reign of terror continued, his communications with the media and law enforcement became less frequent and increasingly cryptic. His last confirmed attacks were followed by a period of eerie silence, and his eventual disappearance remains one of the most baffling aspects of the case. The last known murders. Date: July 4, 1970. Victims: Kathleen Johns and her infant daughter. Location: near Interstate 5, California. Kathleen Johns' abduction and escape marked the last known interaction with the Zodiac Killer before his disappearance. Though the Zodiac claimed responsibility for the crime, no definitive evidence linked him directly to the abduction. John's detailed description of her abductor provided crucial information, but also left many unanswered questions. The final communications. The 1971 letter. Date: April 28, 1971. Content: the Zodiac Killer's last known letter. In this letter, sent to the San Francisco Chronicle, the Zodiac Killer wrote about his desire to stop killing and praised himself for his intelligence. He included a diagram of a clock and claimed he was going to retire from his criminal activities. The letter's tone suggested a shift in his mindset, but its authenticity and the Zodiac's true intentions remained uncertain. The 1974 letter. Date: June 26, 1974. Content: a letter sent to the San Francisco Chronicle. This letter was the last known communication from the Zodiac Killer. It included a cryptic message and a threat to return to his killing spree. However, it also marked the beginning of his prolonged silence, leaving authorities and the public in a state of suspense. The mysterious disappearance. Following the 1974 letter, the Zodiac Killer disappeared from the public eye. Despite numerous efforts by law enforcement to locate him, no significant leads emerged. The investigation continued to pursue various theories and suspects, but the killer's disappearance left many questions unanswered. Possible theories for disappearance. Death. Some theories suggest that the Zodiac Killer may have died or been incapacitated, which would explain his sudden absence from the public sphere. However, no evidence has been found to support this theory definitively. Relocation. Another theory proposes that the Zodiac Killer moved to a different location, possibly outside of California, to evade capture. This theory is supported by the fact that no new crimes were directly linked to the Zodiac after 1974. Psychological factors. The possibility that the Zodiac Killer experienced a psychological change or lost interest in his criminal activities is another area of speculation. Some believe that he might have retired from his activities voluntarily.
Impact on the investigation.
The Zodiac Killer's disappearance had a profound impact on the investigation. Cold case. The sudden end of his communications and the lack of new evidence turned the case into a cold case, leaving investigators with few leads and a sense of frustration. Chapter 5. Legacy and Cultural Impact. The Zodiac Killer's reign of terror left an indelible mark on American history and popular culture. Despite his crimes being unsolved, his story has influenced a wide range of media, from films and books to documentaries and ongoing investigations. Let's explore how the Zodiac Killer's case has continued to captivate and influence society. The Zodiac Killer in popular culture. Books and films. Books. The Zodiac Killer's case has inspired numerous books, including Robert Graysmith's Zodiac and Zodiac Unmasked. These works offer in-depth analysis and theories about the killer's identity and crimes, contributing to the case's enduring intrigue. Films. The 2007 film Zodiac, directed by David Fincher and starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., and Mark Ruffalo, brought the Zodiac Killer's story to a wider audience. The film, based on real events in Graysmith's book, portrayed the investigative process and the emotional toll on those involved. Documentaries and TV shows. Documentaries. Several documentaries have explored the Zodiac Killer's case, including The Zodiac Killer, 1969, and The Zodiac Killer, The Killer That Got Away, 2020. These films offer detailed examinations of the evidence and theories surrounding the case. TV shows. The Zodiac Killer has been featured in various television series, including episodes of Unsolved Mysteries and Mindhunter. These shows have explored the psychological profile of the killer and the investigation's complexities. The impact on criminal investigations. Advances in forensics. The Zodiac Killer's case highlighted the limitations of forensic technology in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Advances in DNA analysis and forensic science have since become critical tools in modern criminal investigations. While no conclusive DNA evidence linked to the Zodiac Killer has been found, the case has influenced improvements in forensic techniques.
Cold case investigations.
The Zodiac Killer case remains an active cold case, with various law enforcement agencies continuing to investigate new leads and potential suspects. The enduring mystery has spurred ongoing efforts to solve the case, including the use of modern technology such as genetic genealogy. The Zodiac Killer's case has had a significant impact on how law enforcement approaches serial crimes and unsolved cases. The challenges faced during the Zodiac investigation have informed the development of investigative strategies and protocols for handling similar cases. Public fascination and theories. Assuring public interest. The Zodiac Killer's story continues to captivate the public's imagination. His cryptic letters, mysterious disappearance, and the ongoing search for his identity have kept the case in the public eye. Online forums, social media groups, and amateur sleuths continue to discuss and speculate about the Zodiac Killer, contributing to the case's legacy. Theories and suspects. Numerous theories and suspects have emerged over the years, ranging from credible candidates to speculative ideas. Some notable suspects include Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester who died in 1992, and more recent candidates identified through genetic research. While no theory has definitively solved the case, each has contributed to the ongoing debate. Cultural influence. The Zodiac Killer has become a symbol of unsolved mystery and criminal psychology in popular culture. His story represents the intersection of crime, media, and public fascination, illustrating how notorious figures can shape cultural narratives and societal fears. Chapter 6: Reflection and Legacy. As we conclude our exploration of the Zodiac Killer case, it's important to reflect on the lasting significance of this chilling mystery and what it represents in the broader context of criminal investigation and popular culture. The significance of the case, unsolved mysteries, and public fascination. The Zodiac Killer case is one of the most enduring unsolved mysteries in criminal history. The combination of brutal crimes, cryptic communications, and the killer's elusiveness has captivated the public's imagination for decades. The case has become a symbol of the complex and often frustrating nature of unsolved criminal investigations. Impact on law enforcement. The Zodiac Killer case has had a significant impact on law enforcement practices. The challenges faced during the investigation highlighted the need for advancements in forensic technology and interdisciplinary collaboration. The case has influenced how law enforcement approaches cold cases and has led to improvements in investigative techniques.
Cultural legacy.
The Zodiac Killer has become an iconic figure in popular culture, representing the archetype of the enigmatic and elusive serial killer. The case has inspired numerous books, films, documentaries, and TV shows, contributing to a broader understanding of criminal psychology and the nature of unsolved mysteries. Lessons learned. Advances in forensic science. While the Zodiac Killer's case remains unsolved, it has driven advancements in forensic science, including DNA analysis and genetic genealogy. These technologies have transformed the field of criminal investigation and continue to play a crucial role in solving cold cases. The role of media and public engagement. The Zodiac Killer's case exemplifies the power of media and public engagement in criminal investigations. The killer's use of media to taunt authorities and the public's ongoing interest
Have both shaped the investigation and highlighted the complex relationship between crime and media coverage.
The nature of mystery and justice.
The Zodiac Killer case underscores the nature of mystery and the quest for justice. Despite significant efforts by law enforcement and amateur sleuths, the case remains unresolved, reflecting the challenges and limitations inherent in the pursuit of justice for unsolved crimes.
Looking ahead.
Ongoing investigations. The case remains an active cold case, with various law enforcement agencies and private investigators continuing to explore new leads and potential suspects. Advances in technology and forensic science may yet yield new breakthroughs, keeping hope alive for a resolution. Public interest and theories. Public interest in the Zodiac Killer case shows no signs of waning. Online forums, social media groups, and new media projects continue to explore theories and discuss potential suspects. The case's enduring appeal reflects the human fascination with the unknown and the quest for answers. For the families of the victims and the communities affected by the Zodiac Killer's crimes, the search for closure remains a deeply personal and ongoing journey. The case serves as a reminder of the importance of perseverance and hope in the face of unresolved mysteries. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the Zodiac Killer case. We hope our series has provided insight and understanding into this infamous and enigmatic figure. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest content. We appreciate your support and engagement throughout this series.